Thank you everybody for joining today. And what we'll cover is what's new in B2W schedule in our 24.1 release. Just looking at the agenda for today's meeting. First, we'll start with an introduction, and then we'll go do a high-level overview of what's new in this release. Then we'll take a deeper dive into the new features. We'll touch on some of the small features that we introduced, and then I usually talk pretty fast, so we should have plenty of time for Q&A as needed at the end of the session. Just a quick recap, if you haven't joined one of these sessions before, how to submit a question. You'll notice on the right side of your screen a little pop-out box, and there's a question section in the pane. Feel free to type those in over the course of the meeting. I will monitor the queue and I'll try to address them as they come in, but I can also address them towards the end. If there are some more complicated questions, then I might try and reach out after the webinar to talk one-on-one, but feel free to post any questions throughout the course of the webinar. Another housekeeping slide here, the safe harbor. Most of what we're talking about today, almost all of everything I'll show is what's in the 24.1 release, but if we do happen to touch on anything that's not currently built and shipped, just a little blurb here about how things may change, things come up. So just take that into consideration, please, on those topics of discussion. As for an introduction, my name is Mike Morneau. I'm the product manager for B2W Schedule. I've been doing this now for 8 years, solely on the schedule product. Before that, I was a project manager at a construction company, and yeah, did a few roles there, but been doing product management for a while now, and it's certainly grown on me. The schedule product itself, again, has been my only focus. So what we've set out as objectives for the tool is that we want to centralize your data, streamline the communication across your business while improving visibility. And then with all of that in one place, we want to increase the collaboration across your business workflows in different individuals, field and office. What we help you manage is staffing at job sites and facilities, employees, equipment, materials, labor. We also handle mobilization of equipment to and from locations, the transportation of material as well. And then we do handle dispatching of trucks as well. One thing that we are adding in the 24.1 release is the production of materials, and we'll go through that in a little bit more detail. But again, just another aspect of materials that we're helping our customers manage. So just touching on those bullets, what we're enhancing in 24.1 is the centralization of data, streamlining communication, your visibility and collaboration. And the two focus areas that we are looking at for this particular release are the transportation of materials and also the production of materials. So to support some of the schedule functionality, we did actually have to make some updates to our core resources, material and places in particular. So these aren't schedule specific areas, but in your shared resource library. So if you have track maintain, these are also things that you'll see. But just highlighted here a few new properties on the material, things like unit weight, unit volume, as well as loss percentage. So this will help us, as we'll get into, just some of the conversions to be able to calculate production at your facilities, is being able to take any unit of measure, essentially, convert it to either a weight or a volume. We also included loss percentage, which getting into designs will help you account for anything that's lost during the production of certain materials. We also introduced the concept of a material design. So a design essentially is made up of 3 parts for us. The general information, which includes the name, who verified this design, when they verified it, and when it's set to expire. You can also include any notes. And then the most important part here, the components. So again, as you have materials that are being produced, if you have materials that are being consumed or material components, this is where you can outline which materials are being used, at what percentage. And then of course you can see that loss percentage as well. So if you need to account for additional material that's consumed going into the production of anything, you can enter that in here. And then the last portion of a design is where is this design used? So this is where you would pick out the different material locations or places in our system where the material is produced. So with that, we'll take a look at places. So we have a new property here, which is called production unit of measure and production capacity. So for any location or place that produces material, you can now set a threshold for how much quantity can be produced per hour, and then also how you wish to calculate totals, either by a weight or a volume at a facility. We also enhanced the materials section. So previously, you would only see materials that are produced at a location, but here you can see we also take into account materials that might be temporarily stored on site, as well as those consumed materials that we entered in when configuring a design in the system. So how do those updates factor into the schedule updates? With 24.1, we introduced a new view in schedule called material production. So there's a new security setting which allows you to enable this view within schedule. And what this view is built out to do currently is to list out your demand at a given location for a week's period of time. So here we're just looking at the totals at our different places. So asphalt plant 2, the quarries, and the yards. If I select this toggle here, you'll notice that we begin to break out the individual materials that are being produced at a given location. So again, if you have multiple orders for the same material, previously those would be listed on the views within schedule, but there wasn't a summation of the totals for you to review at the different locations. So now you can total up quantities per material and location. You'll also notice these warning indicators here, and those are showing that capacity overage per day. Again, we calculate this by hour. So all of our material orders have times and durations. Your capacity is set per hour, so we're able to identify really within the hour window when you might be over capacity. So I'll just pause there for a quick moment. Take a quick breath, see if there's any questions. If not, we'll get into the next area of functionality that was improved in 24.1. And that would be our material orders from track. So within schedule, we had the concept of a material order, but those could only be created and edited within the schedule application with the schedule license. Now with track, we updated the existing needs area to now be called orders and needs. And you can now find material orders that you've created, and they can be managed from within track. So currently we're looking at the web application track orders and needs section. So we've added some filters, updated some filters to accommodate orders as well as the existing needs. And then we also leverage the existing material order dialogues to be able to capture and edit order requirements. So again, this is launched within B2W track using a full B2W track license with the right permissions. We also updated the tablet app. So again, we updated the existing needs area within the tablet app to now be orders and needs, and we'll list those material orders within the tablet. And then we also have forms that allow you to capture order information or edit information pertaining to material orders on the tablet device. So again, the benefits of this is that you now can submit needs or capture need requirements as well as order requirements in a disconnected state. And then we'll sync these orders along with those needs the next time the user has connection to the server. One more quick pause here. It's like we have one question: different locations have different weights for materials like 2A stones. How can you separate that per location? So typically the stones would be if there are two different weights or two different materials, you'd have two unique material instances with each having weights. If you're entering them in as different units of measure for tracking, each of those can be converted to a common weight or volume. I'm not sure if that directly answers your question, but if more detail there, we can circle back to that. All right, the next piece here are just some small features that we introduced with Schedule. The first one here is the ability to drop a pin. So now orders within Schedule, you'll be able to drop a pin on the map for either pickup or drop off locations or source, destination, and orders. So I've just highlighted here our pins next to the address fields within the form. Clicking these pins will launch a map, which allows you to set the geo coordinates. This can be dragged or set or clicked on the map to set the new location. And clicking set will save that back to the order. And here as well on the material order, you'll notice the same pin for the same functionality when creating, editing material orders as well. Also within material orders, you'll notice this new section here. So when you're creating a material order for a customer or a job, what we'll do is we'll go in and find out how much estimated quantity or ordered quantity is already in the system against that particular job, customer, or material. We also take into account the tracking account as well. So if both job and tracking account are set, we'll pull in the estimated quantity for that tracking account. This again just helps provide and add some context so that you can see what the unscheduled quantity is remaining on the particular job. So just a summary of changes. Again, security-wise, we added a new permission for material production view. In resources, we updated both material and places. We have the new UI with some additional fields. So again, check that out. We also introduced the concept of material designs. With 24.1, we're not leveraging that as much, but in our upcoming releases, we're going to be leveraging those designs to help calculate the supply that's needed for production. So stay tuned on that. In Schedule, again, we added a new area for material production for summarizing order totals at a given location. We added the pin drop functionality for our orders, both moves, materials, and truck onlys. And then also we added the visibility of estimated quantities within the order forms. Lastly, in Track, we now support submitting and editing material orders and having those synced to Schedule. One last thing to touch on is our change in behavior. For this release, just a short update in Track. So previously, if you were working with orders in Track or needs, I should say needs in Track, you were only able to edit the ones that you were the requested by value on that particular need. But with 24.1, the new behavior is that Track users can edit or remove needs or orders if they were the requested or created by of the logged in user. So again, just some change in behavior that's been introduced in 24.1. One last pause before kind of moving into the closing part of this. Any questions? All right, I'll wrap this up with just a quick recap of the platform. Again, if you're only using Schedule, just paint the whole picture. Again, estimate to operations for scheduling and reporting. If you're using Schedule, we pass information back and forth to Track to help with the field office collaboration. Track and maintain work together for reported hours utilization for break, fix, and repairs. And then maintain to Schedule helps breakdowns and repairs the impact of equipment availability within Schedule. And then lastly, Inform leverages the operational data for reporting and customized data capture forms. Last piece here, if you're part of the customer community, this video will be posted, but also we have other product updates, documentation that you might find useful. If you have any questions or concerns accessing that, please contact us at support. We also have a great tool called the Ideas Portal. So if you have any ideas or feedback for the product, please go in there, create new ideas. If you don't see anything existing, or vote up existing ones, that helps drive roadmap for the given products. And then lastly, we do have our online learning center. So if you have any questions or training, some great support videos there as well to check out. So again, if you have any questions, reach out to support, or you can also email the marketing email on screen here for more information. So just last call. Again, I talk fast, so benefits of getting some time back in your day. But if you do have any questions, feel free to ask. I'll leave it open for a minute, and if not, thank you all for attending and look forward to our next update.